Fillmore District, San Francisco, Safeway. It's closing. Now, this store has been in play for closing for like over a year. They said, we're going to close it down. Community went into this big uproar. But now Safeway is literally citing theft and safety. It's an interesting switch up from, we'd love to keep the store open, but because of development of the site, we've just got to close it. We'd love to continue serving the community, but instead they're going, yep, we're getting robbed blind. We're shutting her down. It's not safe to have a Safeway in the Fillmore District in San Francisco anymore. Let's get into it. Here we go. If you're wondering where this is, all right, here you've got the Tenderloin, which Google no longer indicates on the map. If you take away the name from the map, the Tenderloin goes away. Yeah. So it is to the west of that. It's in the Fillmore District. There's Pacific Heights right there. So that kind of gives you an idea. Let me go out just one more here. Gives you an idea where it is. This store is being robbed blind to the tune of about $7,000 a day in merchandise. $7,000. So whether or not there's development on this site, all that ridiculousness, you've got some real issues going on that are not going to be solved overnight. Let's watch a quick video here.
The Arnold Safeway in San Francisco will close nearly a year after city leaders pushed to keep it open. Safeway says its location near Geary Boulevard and Webster Street will close due to issues with safety and theft. KRON 4's Will Tran has more.
The Safeway Fillmore area will soon be no more. Come February 7th, we know that's the final day for this store. After 40 years in business, that's the finish line. They will turn off the lights and close the doors forever. They actually wanted to close this 11 months ago, but the city and the community pushed hard for Safeway to continue, and that's when they signed an extra lease to go on as long as they are. But next year, in less than 2 months, it will be over. Let me show you some images inside that we got earlier this morning. Safeway has mentioned the safety of its employees and just theft that is out of control. Look at these images. Inside at this one particular area, you see 3 security guards inside. I saw actually 2 more outside just to keep a close eye on the shoppers. And then if you go through a line, forget about self-checkout. They removed that several months ago because it just wasn't stopping anybody. The honor system was not working. So now, if a cashier is not there, the gate is closed. It's open, of course, when you go through and pay, then the gate is open. So lots of problems for Safeway, and Safeway in the end said it simply was not worth it for them to continue. But left in the wake of all this is the community, of course.
I mean, it's going to create a food desert. And it really is a community institution that I'm just very disappointed that there is not better efforts underway to save this.
You've already had a year there, Sparky. You voted in the politicians that created the laws that allowed people to basically rob stores like this blind. And so then when you go, why aren't we doing more to keep this open? Well, this is what you wanted, and this is what you get. You get a food desert. That is exactly what happens when corporate realizes, we've got safety concerns and we're not making money, and this site is going to be developed. Shut her down. Shut her down. And that is why Safeway on this one, they literally blanketed this closing with safety concerns, even though we've known about it for a year. I podcasted on this I think it was about a year ago. Hey, this is going to be closed down. The community got all worked up and, we're going to be left in a food desert, meaning there's just no food around for, blocks and blocks and blocks. And that does suck. But you brought this on yourselves. So keep voting for those politicians who have the soft on crime approach. And I'm sure it'll just work out, right? Let's finish out this video.
Community institution, because it's going to leave a lot of low-income people, seniors, and families without a place to go for what we need.
And that is the collateral damage that happens every single time you've got a store in a community that is known to be just ripped off left and right. Left and right. Corporate shuts it down. And then you got all these folks. Why did this happen? Well, it's a little thing called corporate profit. And when they don't have it, they're going to close the store down. And when their store employees and their store customers, and we're going to read about this in a second, when you've got all these incidents of just, whacked out drug addicts, criminals, basically a criminal element coming in through and robbing your store blind, and security guards can't really do much about it. And you don't have enough police to police the area. Plus they're stealing underneath $950. When you've got that going on, there's no pushback to any of this happening. So this is the drill. So if you enjoy this happening in your community, keep voting for those progressive politicians, because I'm sure it'll work out. I'm sure it'll work out for you.
A big inconvenience for a lot of people up in here.
How so?
Throughout the community. Because you have elder, you have disabled people. And as far as me, I got to go way to market and shop, or Lucky's or somewhere. But we don't have a Safeway in Fillmore.
So without this Safeway, the nearest Safeway is about 1 mile to 1.5 miles from this location in the Castro district. And a lot of people simply cannot go there for whatever reason, simply too far for them. But if you have your pharmacy here, Safeway will transfer all of the records to another location.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Safeway has 15 other locations in San Francisco. But come February 8th, this will not be available any longer. Back to you.
It's because you've allowed the situation to get wildly out of control, and that is what happens. We've been talking about this forever. This is nothing, earth-shattering by any means. This is the inevitable response to just basically letting a bunch of criminals and people on drugs, homeless folks, just run through your community. This is what happens. Period. Full stop. Mic drop, right? I mean, it's not that hard to figure out. Safeway said it will close its 1335 Webster. Yep, we got that. One Garda World private security guard who spoke on condition of being anonymous estimated the store loses $7,000 a day to shoplifters. Why would you keep the store open? I think we need to do more to prevent this kind of thing from happening. Really? Because we've been saying, hey, why would you, run a store? Why would you run a business in a community that has such lack of regard for public safety? You wouldn't, So many of these businesses are just stuck because they've got everything invested in a physical location. It's really bad, the guard said. It's a problem. Commonly stolen items include cooking oil, meat, and liquor. The guard said thieves of staffers open locked liquor shelves, then take a bottle and run. I mean, it's just so blatant. We see that in Seattle, too. They'll also take an empty Safeway shopping cart, fill it with merchandise, try to walk out the front entrance, pretending they already paid. Oh, yeah, I self-checkout. I paid. I went to my local QFC last night because I needed to. They had an item that Trader Joe's doesn't have. And everything was just locked up. I mean, it was just, and if you don't know what QFC, it's like Kroger's or, it's standard big corporate grocery store. And I used to shop there a lot, but it's kind of like Bartell's or Walgreens. It's, these drugstores that just have everything locked up. Such an annoying experience. They're taking stuff they can sell, the guard said. One Safeway worker who spoke on conditions being anonymous said many thieves walk through the self-checkout or steal in more clandestine ways. Reports of theft in Western Addition are roughly double the citywide average, according to the standard analysis of police data. Neighborhoods saw 493 larceny reports per 10,000 residents in the 12 months to November 10th, compared with 254 citywide during the same period. So larceny, stealing is double. Still, here's the silver lining, right? Theft in the neighborhood is down 6% from last year. That's because nobody is reporting any of this stuff anymore. They're just simply no longer reporting. And any crime stats in any of these big liberal cities, do not trust them because they are not accurate, because everybody has given up. Store managers, store employees, consumers, business owners, general public. Are you going to report that? No, because what are the cops going to do? They're going to do absolutely Nothing. They've got bigger fish to fry. They've got, people being assaulted, people being raped, people, horrific car crashes. That's what the police, forces are doing in these big liberal cities. They're dealing with those, the high priority calls. They don't have the manpower to be running around. I took a shopping cart full of goods. That's terrible. Let's get after him. Jimmy, come help me. We're going to go find these guys. No, that's just not the drill, right? Plans to shutter the store have been discussed since January, leading to intense backlash from the local community. Elderly and disabled people there claim another major store they can't get to. Align Real Estate said it plans to buy the site to build a project with 1,000 homes and ground floor retail, but has not said whether it intends to lease the space to another grocery store. This is a property that's in play, right? Sorry, didn't have the article on there. This is a property that's in play. And guess what? When that happens, kind of all bets are off. And, corporate says, no, not worth it. Here's some wild stuff. This is from Hot Air. People threaten employees with guns, knives, and sticks. They flung food, screamed, fought, and tried to defecate on the floor, according to records of 568 emergency calls over 13 months, many depicting scenes of mayhem. Male with machete is back, the report on one 911 call states. Another security guard was just assaulted by a dude with a machete. Yes. Man with a 4-inch knife attacked several security guards, then sprayed more store employees with foam from a fire extinguisher. Police described theft as rampant as Whole Foods, with thieves walking out with armfuls of alcohol, at least at the start. After 250 shopping handbaskets were stolen, the company restocked with 50 more. This was a description of Whole Foods that lasted 1 year. Last year, a brand new Whole Foods in the city closed just over a year. So this kind of stuff is going on all over San Francisco. More concentrated in some of these neighborhoods. Closer you are to the Tenderloin, it's anybody's guess what's going on there, because you just got a bunch of nut jobs running around that are whacked out on drugs, that are homeless, that I'm just going to steal this because I can sell this, all these food items, can sell them on these open air drug markets that are just, all over. And you get your money for your next fix. Just doesn't take that much money. I had somebody, try and tell me on one of the comments on one of the YouTube videos that the poor people, the homeless people, don't have money for drugs. They just don't have enough money for drugs. So that person tells me through their comment that they don't understand what the homeless and the drug situation is. You can get a hit of fentanyl for as low as $1. That's right, $1. In Portland, you can get hits for 50 cents, I'm being told. It's a couple of bucks tops and you can get a hit. So, you steal a bunch of food and you go sell it and you get your money. You can be high for literally days. So this equation is not, it makes absolute sense. And it's because in these communities where you've allowed this to happen, where you've allowed drug use, open air stolen good market, and you've allowed shoplifting. Hey, Proposition 47, this is so much progress. In addition to inflation-fueled bills and declining foot traffic, the small grocery and deli has suffered from rampant crimes, including near-daily shoplifting and 3 break-ins in the past couple of years, talking about a small deli. He blames city officials for the increased crime, slamming law enforcement and city leaders for being unresponsive and overly permissive. Just let it happen. Just let it go. And then you've got all these folks saying, what about the elderly? What about the poor? Yeah, well, that is who this impacts the most. It just is. So if you want to protect the elderly, if you want to protect the poor, if you want to protect all those folks, you need to get some politicians in place that respect law and order, not progressives, not Democrats, because we've seen what happens there. I mean, Democrat politicians right now, they're all worked up over these massive deportations. They are literally worked up that a massive amount of convicted criminals or criminals with pending charges or folks that shouldn't be in the United States legally anyway, they don't have a right to be here. They are worked up that those folks are going to get deported. Yeah, because that's who, in this first big go around of deportations, that's who the United States is under Trump is going to go after. Not the kids, not the families, not the adults that are here legitimately, not the people with jobs working away. That's not who's going to be emphasized. It's criminals. But the Democrats don't want to tell you that, do they? No, they want to focus on, it's just going to be terrible and horrible. We need to fight against them. Well, if you're fighting to keep criminals, illegal alien criminals in the country, yeah, I'm not going to join you on that one. That's just not going to be part of my message because I believe in the opposite. You get these people out of here, get them out. They don't belong here. And we've tossed them out in the past and we're going to toss them out in the near future. So, Tom Homan, do your thing, do your thing. In the absence of law enforcement, people deal drugs right outside buy-sides doors and serial shoplifters operate with no consequences. These guys think our store is a pantry where they can take whatever they want. We've been spit at. We've been knives pulled on us. We've been called names. So, this is absolutely nothing new that this is going on. It's just that it's continuing to happen and you've got fewer and fewer stores available in these communities. San Francisco Safeway, with new receipt scanning security gates, continues to see high rates of daily theft despite the increased shoplifting measures. I'd say 60 to 100 thefts on my shift alone, says a security guard at the 33th Mission Street, the Safeway that's closing down. 60 to 100 thefts on my shift alone. What is that, an 8-hour shift? You got 100 thefts? Can you imagine 100 thieves in 8 hours? That works out to one every 5 minutes. One every 5 minutes. Kind of reminds me of the story of the young lady who, for her OnlyFans page, I saw this story on Tim Pool. I'd seen the story as well, but she decided that she was going to bed a man, 101 men within a 24-hour time period. So she gave them each 2 to 5 minutes to do their thing. Some didn't finish and she felt bad, but she got to 101 and she says she doesn't remember more than like 10 of them. Shocking, right? But you've got shoplifters come in at about the same rate every 5 minutes as she had young men coming in and doing their thing. So one every 5 minutes coming in and stealing something from the store. Yeah, that is not sustainable. And when corporate has the, incentive of, well, this store is in play for being developed, let's go ahead and let's just, close this bad boy down because we are losing so much money. No one can make a profit under those circumstances. And yet, knowing the store was on the way out, San Francisco Police Department still couldn't do anything about it. Shoplifters don't get caught. The city just let this fail. Safeway points out this is the corporate speak. They have 15 other stores in the city and they hope to continue serving customers at those locations. But the thieves will just start shoplifting at the remaining stores. They just move on to the next store. They don't care. It's no sweat off their back, right? I mean, they're just like, a little shoplifting, a misdemeanor charge. Who cares? It's not a big deal because you're not prosecuting these folks. You're not doing anything to push back on this scenario, on this situation. This has gotten wildly out of control, and we all know it's a thing. San Francisco is going to lose stores. Seattle's losing stores. Portland has lost stores. And by stores, I mean restaurants, businesses, you name it. It's just happening. And it typically happens in certain neighborhoods because other neighborhoods don't put up with the nonsense, right? So unless the city's newly elected mayor enhance the police force, change the city's usual approach to rampant theft, this won't be the last supermarket that closes citing theft and safety issues. This is an inherent issue. This is a systemic issue in these big liberal-run, Democrat-run cities. And folks get all worked up when a store closes in the neighborhood. Well, maybe if you didn't vote the way you did, maybe if you had different leadership, maybe if you didn't, vote to defund the police, if you didn't go down all these ridiculous roads, maybe if you weren't quite so progressive, you'd still have a grocery store. Weird how that cause and effect works, right? Yeah. For people that live in red communities, this is not in question. It's just a thing. Hey, We don't really allow that kind of shoplifting happen here. It's going to happen everywhere, but at the rates we're talking about, that's why these stores get closed down. It's the rates that it happens at. And when people get arrested in other communities, they actually get prosecuted and they might do some jail time. And that's the pushback that a progressive community like San Francisco, like the Fillmore District, like the Tenderloin. Oh yeah, let's just create this drug utopia and I'm sure it'll all work out. Well, it is working out with one less Safeway come February 8th, 2025. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. Catch up with you in the next store closure.